Hi everyone, hello. Hope you are well. Sorcha Coyle here from Empowering Expat Teachers. I'm just going to double check on my phone to make sure this is working. This is live. Please do let me know if you can see it. I think it should be working. Please say hi, let me know where you're watching from. So I haven't done a Facebook Live in a wee while actually. And I just realized in my welcome video I'm wearing something very similar and my same hair, so it's quite funny. Okay, yes, this is called my 5 top tips to help to find your ideal teaching job abroad. And I'm just move my head a bit so it's not so far. Let me see if I can move this down a little bit. Yeah, there we are. Okay, guys. So very quick Facebook Live. I haven't done Work Wednesday Facebook Live in a few weeks now, and tomorrow is Wednesday, but I am busy tomorrow evening, so I do it now. And I just thought I'd go through. I was just thinking about the different comments I saw from members. You've got a huge amount of members. If you're watching, please do say hi. Please press the eCam and it'll give you permission. I can see your name. Say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you're a future or current expat teacher. If you have any questions, please feel free to stick them in the comments and I shall answer them after. So yeah, sort of just looking at all the queries from different members. We're at 10,800 plus members, which is amazing. So please keep telling your friends and everybody else if they would find it helpful. So today I'm going to put my 5 top tips to find your ideal teaching job abroad. Okay, so of course at this moment I would say, first of all, number 1, do not rely only on one method to find a great job abroad. At the moment in the Gulf region, a lot of you'll see a lot of job ads are coming up. People are getting called for interviews. People are, submitting applications a lot for the 31st of January, for example. And that is because a lot of schools asked for, statements of intention before December, but now they're actually, clarifying and, teachers are committing to either stay on and sign another contract or to, leave the school. So that's something to bear in mind. So you will start to see lots of jobs appearing. And I would say to increase your chances, I went that a bit smaller, sorry guys. To really increase your chance of finding a great job, I would have a variety of methods, okay? And I would be really checking at least once, twice a day, every single time just to check. So I would do something like TES. So I will put a link below in the comments afterwards about 10 ways to find great teaching jobs abroad. You got TES. You've also got COBUS, which is a Council of British International Schools. They've got a vacancies page. You also have Expat Woman, which is advertising a lot of jobs in the Gulf area. You have Phobetia, if you're looking at Federation of British International Schools in Asia. They've got a vacancies page. You've also got Empowering Expat Teachers. You can put a post up there asking if there's any certain roles in certain schools. Keep an eye on Empowering Expat Teachers Facebook group. Teachers will often post vacancies from their own school. I've seen a lot of members do that this week, which is brilliant. You also have international school educators, international single teachers. They're also something similar to Empowering Expat Teachers. Their members share information with different posts. If you're looking at specific places, for example, teaching in Qatar, it's based for teachers in Qatar. You might see roles being advertised there by members. You have teachers of the UAE. So lots of different ones there. So definitely check the whole time. Some people are using LinkedIn as well. I do plan actually with the Teach Abroad Transformation Extra. I will be doing a module in the next few months. I'll add it to the program on creating a great LinkedIn profile. And I know some people use that. They swear by LinkedIn to find jobs. I do the LinkedIn profile. I honestly don't use it as much as I should. I need to work on that myself. But I would say it tends to be a lot of agencies on LinkedIn, but I do know people make that connections and they find jobs that way too. Of course, word of mouth. Do you know anybody working abroad in your preferred country, destination? Go and ask them, are there any vacancies? Could you put a good word in for me? Could you drop my CV in or whatever it might be? Okay. So lots of different ways. Do not just depend on one way. And if you're going to use a recruiter in addition to the methods I've listed, please do your homework on the recruiting agency and the teaching agency, because you've got some great agencies and you've got some not so great who are only in it for commission and will put you anywhere. So really do your homework on that. Do ask people's recommendations. Okay, tip number 2. You've seen me say this a million times. And again, any links to that I mentioned, I will put in the section below. Always, 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 please, please, please. I am getting I'm quite busy at the moment. I've got lots of client CVs and cover letters to update in the Elite package. I also have people submitting their documents to me for the review. Please always tailor your CV and cover letter to every single job ad. Even if you've got the best CV in the whole world and the best teaching experience and you have all the amazing skills and you're the perfect candidate and you're the best teacher across the board, please tailor it. You must tailor it. You must use the language of the job ad. Try and use their keywords. So for example, if you have experience working with students in learning support, the job ad might say special educational needs and disabilities, SEN, SEND, might say inclusion. Please change it, because if they have a system like ATS, is where applicant tracker system, where they see how they see if the keywords they mention their ad are in your document. It's a really easy program. You may, because you said inclusion or learning support instead of SEND, you may not get highlighted as a good candidate, that you don't seem to have that particular skill. So please use the word of the job ad. Please use the head teacher's name in the cover letter. Please comment on the vision or mission of the school. It'll always change depending on the school. Please make sure that you, for example, if their priority is somebody who's got lots of experience with students with English as an additional language, for example, if you have put that as your 5th paragraph about EL, working with EL students, you bump that up to near the top, because that's what they're prioritizing. Okay, so please really always, always adapt. Don't forget, I have a webinar. I'll put a link in the comment section below. It's 15 minutes. It's basically 5 CV and cover letter mistakes you don't even know you're making. It's completely free masterclass. And again, it can be really helpful. Have your CV and cover letter in front of you while you're going through the webinar or the masterclass, and edit those changes as in real time. Okay. Tip number 3. Always research the school before and after. Obviously, research the school before, for the interview, actually even for the interview, for the CV, for the cover letter. You should be showing that you've done some outside research of the particular school, and that you're going above and beyond to show that you want to work there. Then ideally, when you get your interview, again, do more research to think about the questions they might ask and how you can answer them the best way. Research. And then finally, afterwards, once you get the job, still do your research, double check everything. Make sure though in the interview you've asked those questions. That's the type of research. Make sure you've got a list of questions, for the school to answer. It's a two-way process. They're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. Do you get a good vibe from the head teacher? Is it a place you'd like to work? Is there good CPD? Think about you as well. It's not just getting a job. It's so much more, because as an expat teacher, you're also going to move country. You're also going to have to move. It's not like if you're in London and you move to a different part of England for a job, you can still see your family or friends at weekends in London. It's not like that. You need to make sure there's a community there too. There's so many factors to consider, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. Obviously focus on the school. You might talk about what CPD, what professional development opportunities do you offer? You might talk about, you could ask about the housing. What kind of housing do they have? You could ask about the demographic of your colleagues, of the staff. Are there going to be people who are in your, stage of life, that if you're a single person in their 30s, mid-30s, will there be teachers you can go out with? I mean, you don't want to go to school where everybody is married with children if you're a single in your 30s, for example. You know what I mean? Just double check everything. And same as well, if in terms of researching, if you have children, which actually I spoke with this before a few months ago, and I said maybe don't mention it in your CV. And then actually I spoke to some colleagues, particularly colleagues with children and a trailing spouse, and they said, you should put it on. And it actually made sense, because you said, you're not wasting your time. I would have said maybe for interview practice, maybe you could go through it. But again, if you haven't got time, time to waste, and you don't get your hopes up and decide you want to work at this school and then actually they reject you, which I'll come to later on in point 5, because maybe you've got kids and they can't provide free school places, things like that. If you've got children, how many free school places can your school provide for my children? what are the chances of my spouse finding a job in that country or in that school, maybe as a teaching assistant or in maintenance or whatever it might be. So again, so many questions that you can ask, interview, etc. Okay, and also especially if you're offered the contract, make sure you've done your research, you double checked everything. Number 4. Okay, guys, I'm seeing any comments so far? I don't think so. Do give me some love. Do say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. So we talked about number 1. Don't rely on only one way to find it. I'll put a link to the different ways you can find great jobs abroad. Number 2, always tailor your CV and cover letter to every job ad. And again, I'll put a link to a free masterclass on CV and cover letter mistakes that you can rectify straight away. Number 3, we spoke about researching the school before and after to make sure you've got all those questions that you want answered. You're not going in and signing a contract that you're not sure about. Number 4, really, really important. And again, this often can happen. It's happened to me myself when I actually started out. Number 4, know what to expect in a good teaching contract and package before saying yes to it. Okay, number 1, whenever you get offered a job, please don't ever accept it without seeing the contract. It's absolutely perfectly fine to say, oh, I'm delighted, thank you so much. I look forward to receiving the contract in due course. That's absolutely fine. Don't feel you have to commit to anything. Give yourself the time to think about it. Give yourself the time to weigh up the options. I know myself so this is my 5th academic year in Dubai. And before this, I was in Qatar, which I can openly say now because things are all good in terms of Qatar in the region. And I absolutely loved Qatar. I had an amazing experience. The school I'm at in Dubai currently is not for profit. The school I was in Qatar was a for profit, but actually packages are quite similar. And again, I'll come to that in number 5 about packages and regions and different areas and your situation. And I was a total newbie moving to Qatar. I had trained in the UK, did my PGCE in the UK. I did my newly qualified teaching year in the UK. And I had done 6 months maternity leave back in Ireland. And I decided I wanted to travel. So I moved to Qatar. And I was just so lucky. I had been offered I think I was offered 3 or 4 jobs. I'd gone for a few different ones. Some in the UAE, one in Qatar. Actually, it was UAE in different regions and Qatar. And I just got a really good vibe from the people who interviewed me. They were the headmaster and the principal, and they were British themselves. They were interested in education, they were experienced. They took a personal interest in my CV. We had great, conversation. It wasn't just all focused. You could tell they were sizing me up probably for my personality as well as my teaching experience. And honestly, I was really, really lucky. I think I said yes, and then they sent me the contract, which is ridiculous and such a stupid thing to do. But I was so lucky because actually, at the time, it was probably one of the best packages in Qatar, respectively. So I was so lucky that I got this, and I didn't even think of negotiating or anything. I was just so happy. And it worked out really well for me. However, so many members get in touch with me every year. I've been running this community for the last 4 years, not realizing they're getting a bad deal till they move out here and they speak to other teachers in other schools. Sorry, I don't have my earrings. I don't know if they're making noise on the earbuds. But they actually, it's not until they come out and they speak to other people, they realize they got a really bad end of the deal. Like for the years of experience, they should be in a lot more. So please make sure that you know what to expect. You should know, if you're getting an international contract, you should have your insurance covered. You should have either accommodation or a rental allowance. But again, make sure the rental allowance is sufficient. If not, maybe if you've got dependents or something, you might need to negotiate that, or else look for a different job, because we want to come out here to work, to live comfortably, but also to save, you know what I mean? So that's really important. You need to make sure that, your salary reflects your years of experience. If you have any leadership or any other kind of positions or roles, ideally you should be getting, you should be getting those little, allowances, monthly allowances, stipends for that. You should be getting 1 free flight a year. And if you're coming with a family and non-teaching spouse, try and see, can you get your family's flights covered too? It used to be very commonplace for that to happen. And now in the UAE, particularly as more and more schools or businesses, they're trying to save more money or increase their profits, etc., because they're for profit and they're cutting down and things like that. So I'll talk about that more in number 5. So that's something to be aware of. Medical insurance should be covered, like I said. Yeah, make sure you know what you should be getting, and make sure that you get it. Okay, it's really, really important. And I've got a link to that, an article about that, so I'll definitely put that in the section below. And number 5, I think is really, really important, and I see some people getting quite discouraged, and people are having interviews and offers, and they're getting quite discouraged. So always ask for feedback. If you have an interview, it's unlikely if your application doesn't get through, they don't really provide interview because they could have had 100 applicants. However, if you've had an interview, always request feedback if you don't get it, because how else are you meant to improve? It's just, always ask for feedback. And then obviously act on that feedback, or implement it, or improve it, or do what you need to do so it doesn't happen again. Now, do not feel discouraged. And I'm going to look at it from a different number of different points of view. Number 1, some schools, particularly the ones that are maybe seen as the top schools, are more selective, are known to have best packages, etc. They receive so many applications. So they really have the creme de la creme choice. You, through no fault of your own, perhaps because you're not experienced enough, or you've less than 2 years, or you're going up against candidates who are very experienced international teachers, and they have been on the circuit, and they know how to, they know how to, what the school wants, they know how to appeal to the school, and you could be coming from the UK or Ireland or South Africa or America and not really knowing about the scene. Never get discouraged. Pick yourself up, go and apply to a different school in the same country maybe, and then apply again in 2 years' time to that same school. Once you've got to know the school and you've got to improve your CV and your experience and your skills and everything else. So never feel discouraged. It's never think, oh, that's it, I'm never getting to that school. It could be something out of your control. And there's so many factors outside your control. Schools around the world, some schools, particularly those that are businesses or possibly chains, they have certain profits to make every year. So when a school is given a budget, it might be meaning the difference of, they could be able to get maybe 6 newly qualified teacher NQT candidates that are cheaper, rather than 4 experienced teachers, or 3 teachers that are experienced with children who need free places or multiple flights home. So just be aware of that. So it may not be your CV, you might have done everything right, you might be the best fit, you might have done an amazing interview, taught an amazing lesson observation if that's the case, but just simply financially, the school may not be able to afford you, or they may not have a budget to look after your students, look after your children. So please don't ever feel that it's you. I do feel there's a trend in the UAE to hire cheaper candidates, which is great, obviously, for newly qualified teachers and singles, that aren't massively experienced yet. So it's great for teachers on that stage of their career. However, for people with families, with dependents, with spouses that aren't necessarily a teaching couple, or even teaching couples with lots of experience, or older teachers, it may mean that you're not the preferred candidate, purely for reasons outside your control. So please just bear that in mind. I would say, from what I hear on the ground, in other parts of the Gulf, it's not quite that. It seems to be very much around UAE at the moment, particularly Dubai. That sort of maybe single cheaper candidate is preferred. I still feel in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, it's still not as big an issue. People are still being hired with families, being hired from the UK. That's also something else to remember. If you're applying from Ireland, UK, America, South Africa, particularly with COVID, during COVID, the number of teachers being hired in country was massive, and so they're not always hiring people from the UK, because we used to go to these job fairs in London and meet people, and there was a huge number of people recruited in country. So you may have an advantage if you're in country, because they don't have to pay for your flight, or they don't have to maybe pay, it's maybe they get to meet you in person, so a little bit different in that sense. So that's something to bear in mind as well. I see some people asking about, they've got kids and maybe a non-teaching spouse or a teaching couple, or and I honestly feel, just from what I read, that Asia seems to be brilliant for families, in the sense, especially places like China, countries in Asia that are kind of new. Bear in mind, like in the Gulf, they've had expat teachers for like 25, 30, schools for so long, where in China, they haven't. It's like a newish market, I guess. It's emerging. China has the highest number, I think, of like the wealthiest people, like per capita, in comparison to the Gulf. Maybe they have a wealthier middle class, or they have more billionaires, whatever it might be. And they tend to pay, the school fees in China are higher than an average school in the UAE. So therefore, they're willing to pay more, and therefore the packages might be better. So I do feel like if you've got a family, that's something to bear in mind, that if you're not hearing back from schools in the Gulf, particularly in the UAE, it may be through no fault of your own. It may just be finances, etc. So do keep an open mind with Asia. Also, like places like Vietnam, they're relatively kind of new in terms of accepting expat teachers or having international schools. So that's something to bear in mind too. So I would definitely looking at Asia as well. Great standard of living. But also double check what your spouse can do. I know it's harder, I think, for maybe spouses without a degree or profession to maybe find jobs in like places like Malaysia and China, because if they're engineers, for example, or architects, they're traditionally taken by the local population. Where they're in the Gulf, actually they have quite a lot of expat architects, engineers, etc. So again, just do all this research before you come out. Yeah, I've got a question there. Is it better to apply via an agency or directly where possible? I would always say directly. I think for me, directly is the best, because you know straight away the name of the school, you know straight away, you can research it straight away, you can ask people about it. Agency, sometimes you might find school in Dubai, British school in Dubai, but it could be a terrible British school in Dubai, and you don't know the name until maybe you get to the second round of the interview. But to be honest, I would, if you're going to use an agency, there are some great agencies. I would definitely do both. I wouldn't rely on one way. I would do agency, but also directly yourself as well. Okay. But really do check out the agencies and see if you can get one that's recommended by other people. Okay. Okay, guys. Any questions apart from that? Thank you for that question. Hi, Gary. Thank you. I just saw there, Gary. It just showed me your name. Guys, before you go, I really would appreciate if you could follow me on Instagram. As you can see, I'm really trying to boost my followers. I'm 975, I think, and I really want to get up to at least 1,000 by the end of the week. That would be my dream. I'm going to start doing more Instagram lives, but also I post daily tips for CV, cover letters, for interview tips. I also post, I will be in the next few weeks starting to post more like money-based tips, saving money, earning more, saving more, retiring with more, investing, etc. Yeah, great question about where would you find information, what would constitute a good package. I do have a link, I have an article about that. I'll post it in the comments below along with all of the links I've mentioned. And I also would say you could ask people on the group. So you could say, you don't necessarily give the name of the school, but say I've been offered this, this is my experience, I've been offered this, is it great, good, bad. You also have International Schools Community. And they've written an article for my blog called 7 Signs That International School is a Good Place to Work. And you can check that blog out. And they also actually have a discount for anyone who wants to take their membership. But you can also earn the membership, I think, by writing some articles for them or writing comments or reviews for schools you've been at yourself. But it's very reasonable. I think it's like a 2-year membership, but you can get to see people's comments who've worked there, and they can see their comments about the salary or the leadership or whatever it might be. Okay, so it's a very worthwhile investment, I would say. And in his article he wrote for me, he has given us a promo code. So it's not an affiliate link. I don't make any money from it at all. But if anyone wants to go to use his service, it's called International Schools Community. There's a little promo code that gets you a discount. So, guys, I am going to be launching a competition tomorrow, I think. I'm giving away 3 Teacher Board Transformation extra packages. I had to think about that. They're worth €77 each. And basically they have their self-directed learning online course to help you create a CV and cover letter that's so outstanding that will guarantee you an interview for any job that you apply to. And it's got lots of videos about CV, cover letter. Also, if you're an NQT, if you've less than 2 years experience, there's lots of great bonuses. How to prepare the 30 most common interview questions, what to do before, during, after interview with a school, how to negotiate your package. So lots of really great bonuses and videos there, and swipe files, CV templates, the whole lot. And I will be definitely start following me on Instagram, because I will be doing a competition there over the next few days, and there'll be 3 lucky winners to win that. So please definitely follow me on Instagram. I would really, really appreciate that. So yeah. So guys, I don't have any other... let me know actually, can you see my account? Because it used to be private and I made it public. Excuse me, for the giveaway. I think I have to. And I'm not sure, I don't even know. Does it come up anymore if people follow you? I'm not sure. Because they probably don't have to ask permission. Okay. Okay, guys, I think that's really it. I'm just trying to see any other questions there. Thanks, Gary. Let me see.
Hi, Gary. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
Hi, Gary.
Oh, Becca. Thank you, Becca. Sorry, it doesn't show me the name on this screen. So that's why. Super. Okay, I think that's it. I'll stay on just for a few more seconds. Share my bottle of water, because there's a little bit of a lag. But yeah, let me actually get ready. Oops, I'm going to get those articles ready to post in the comments. So what did I mention again? I said about 10 ways to find a great job. I also talked about what's in a good package. Yes, I didn't remember all these. And I also said about the International Schools Community. Yeah, so I posted all of those links for you there. And if I remember anything else, let me know. Super. So let me post all these. Okay, guys, I think that's really it. No other questions. Hope everyone's having a great evening. And the weather here is quite chilly. I don't know if you're based in the Gulf. It's quite chilly at the moment. Quite foggy in the mornings. Really, really strange. And tomorrow is Wednesday, which is the second last day of our week, which I actually can't believe how quick. This term is going so quickly. Thank goodness. Those of you in the UAE, our next holiday, I think is yours the 11th of February, half term. Counting down to that, absolutely. I also don't know if you saw on my Instagram, those of you who follow me on Instagram, I actually got the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine on Saturday evening. So I'm due the next one around the 6th of February. I was really hoping I'd go traveling for half term, but no, I still think I need to have a PCR, because you can still, I think, technically carry it for 28 days after or something. So I was really hoping I could pop over to Qatar, but they're still quite strict with their 14-day vaccine. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer to go back to Qatar. I haven't been there in years because there was an embargo. Those who aren't in the Gulf, there was like kind of an embargo with Saudi and UAE and Bahrain versus Qatar, and you couldn't use their airspace. You couldn't fly there directly to go via Oman or Kuwait. And I haven't been there in years. And I spent so many 4 amazingly happy years. And those of you thinking, oh, it's so conservative and, I really want Dubai. Really, Qatar, consider Qatar. It's honestly just like a smaller Dubai, with amazing packages and a little bit more chilled out. It's such a great place. Like I am planning to move back to Europe next year. But if I were to stay abroad, I would look at Qatar again, or I'd actually look at Vietnam. I spent, before obviously COVID, a year and a bit ago, I spent a week there with a friend, 10 days, amazing place. I honestly would love to. If I was younger, or not even younger, but if I was starting again, I'd definitely go to Vietnam. And a really great school, great packages, low cost of living. So guys, I know Dubai is what everyone's looking at, maybe subconsciously, because every single person from Love Island seems to be over here right now in Dubai, posting on Instagram. And again, if you're following me on IG, I talked about changing careers because people, it's 7,000 a photo, which is mad. That's how much some earn. So it's absolutely crazy. Hi, Gary. Oh, Australia. Perfect. Oh, I've never been to Australia, actually. I was supposed to go there. Before COVID, that April, I was going to go. My brother's in New Zealand. I was going to visit my brother in New Zealand and see a friend in Australia. But obviously COVID did not happen. Yeah, it's definitely on my list. And I actually see some people asking about working in Australia as well. So I know in Queensland, a place like that, they've got a shortage. Yeah. Okay, guys, super. I'll post all those links now, and so have a lovely evening. And stay tuned. Please follow me on Instagram, and I will launch details of the competition tomorrow, okay, to win a Teachable Transformation extra package. Okay? All right, then have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.